I'm great. Thank you so much. And I'm super excited to be back. Thanks for the opportunity. And hi, everybody. How's everyone doing? Can you give me a wave? Okay, thumbs up. I like it. I like it. Okay, so we're going to get started. We're good to go, Nicole, right?
Yep, you're all set.
Awesome. All right. So it is American Heart Month. And today we are talking about how to really create a healthy heart. And I use the word create because we do have some opportunities to create a healthy heart. And I'll talk about that today. You know, a lot of times people think that their heart health is kind of just what it is, it's their genetics or it's just their body. And today it's really exciting to learn that we do have some control here. So I'm excited to share the message today. Some of the information you may have heard before, some of it I hope is new. And yeah, let's just get going. So again, my name is Elissa, and again, just I'll do a quick bio. I'm a registered nurse, certified diabetes educator, certified health and wellness coach. I have worked in hospital nursing before, and this is why I do what I do now, to try to help prevent people from getting to the hospital. So definitely align with my health angel and educating people and keeping people healthy and happy out of the hospital and enjoying their life to the best of their ability, whatever that means to you. Okay. I have a background in working at Walt Disney World. I created their wellness program for them for over 120,000 people. Did groups like this all over Disney property. And by the way, what we talk about today works. Really, really, really works, because I did this at Disney for many years, and I had the blood tests and labs, to prove this. This stuff truly, truly works as long as you apply it. Okay. So that's, again, I love the opportunity to talk about the heart, especially during Heart Health Month. So let's jump in. All right. Okay. So what is the truth when it comes to heart health, right? What's the truth? Because there's a lot of information out there that people are, whether they hear it or they read it here or read it there. I just want to tell everybody that it's super important to make sure you get your information from credible sources. I do love Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, Harvard, WebMD. Those are all what I consider credible sources, especially when you're looking at heart health. Okay. And a lot of them, for many of you that are more into holistic, which I am myself, a lot of these institutions now are starting to understand the benefits of living more holistically, which again, isn't just about healthy eating, but it's about recognizing some of these other things in addition to eating that we'll be talking about today and how they really do benefit us. So what is heart health? That's what we'll be talking about. So heart health is really the health of your cardiovascular system, right? We have our heart, which is a main organ, and then all the arteries and veins and blood vessels, capillaries, all these things that kind of flow off the heart. And if those things, I'm just kind of talking in layman's terms, okay, when I say things, but if those aren't flowing well, then we have problems with our health. So for example, some of you may be dealing with neuropathy. And neuropathy can be at the effect of a heart that has been affected by whether it's plaque buildup, calcification. It could be so many different things in response to possibly diabetes or even without diabetes. These types of things can happen. So the main goal here is that we want to keep our heart health as healthy as possible, because the heart provides oxygen, helps provide oxygen, nutrients throughout the body to all organs, all systems, and all parts of the body, so we can be functioning and healthy and living, right? We need that for sure. Okay. Next slide here. Okay, there we go. Sorry, for some reason it wouldn't shift. Okay, so how does this affect me? Well, remember, our health affects every single thing that we do. And I'm sure everybody in here has had enough life experience, including myself, to recognize that if our health isn't good, or if our health isn't what we need it to be, to show up a certain way or do a certain task or partake in a certain activity, it can affect us. So what I want to encourage you is that this is, we want to have realistic expectations based on our own specific lives and bodies and what our desires are. But we also want to know that there are a lot of opportunities to improve. So if you think of, you can see my hands here, a continuum. So if this is a very unhealthy heart, and this is the healthiest possible heart someone could have, you would let everybody land somewhere on this continuum, right? Somewhere. So the goal of this presentation is to be able to help you say, okay, what can I do to get closer to healthy? Even if it's one step, it can make a difference. It truly, truly can. And how it can impact us is, again, with all these parts of our lives. So it can help impact our passion, our purpose, our quality of life, socialization, mood, finances. All of these things relate to heart health. Because think about it, if I don't have passion or if I don't have purpose, then I'm probably, it's on some level, I won't have that joy, and that comes from our heart, right? So all of these things are definitely related to heart health. So the goal today is, what can I do to help myself? Or the key is, what can I do to help myself? And here's a list that we'll be breaking down, but I just want to remind everybody there's more to this list, okay? There's a lot more things that we could certainly dialogue, but for purposes of time, and not overwhelming anybody, don't overwhelm you. Let's just start one step at a time with some of the main factors. And of course, we'll definitely leave time at the end for you to ask questions, and I'll be happy to dig more into detail to the best of my ability. Okay. So number one, friends, I got to tell you, whether you like it or not, visiting the doctor regularly is so important. There's a lot of research that shows men particularly do not like going to the doctor. And this is research. There's, again, no judgment in any way. It's just the research that has been done. Men more than women don't like going. And therefore, a lot of the times they don't go. And it's dangerous when this happens. It could be dangerous, right? Because there could be something going on that they are not addressing. And of course, we want to address things early. So for example, blood pressure. If someone doesn't go to the doctor and their blood pressure is high, which is also known as a silent killer, because we may not know that it's high until it's too late, and heaven forbid someone has a stroke or heart attack or something like that, right? And I'll tell you right now, I think everybody would agree. I just went to a talk recently with a local hospital here. I'm in Palm Beach area in Florida, and they were talking about how more people now than ever, especially young folks, but in general, more people are having heart attacks and strokes. And they've acknowledged it. It's something that a lot of places are seeing. So one of the best ways to be able to help yourself and keep yourself safe to your best of your ability would be to monitor your weight, your blood pressure, your blood glucose, if your doctor has guided you to monitor your blood glucose. If you're not diabetic or pre-diabetic, you might not need to monitor it. Your doctor usually checks, or actually will check, your blood glucose at every well man and well woman's exam, but we have to get to the doctor for them to do their job, right? So make sure that you go, make sure that you're getting in fact, I do want to mention one other thing. Make sure that you're getting all your clotting factors checked. It's not on this slide because it's something that I just thought I wanted to add. And the clotting factors, if you want to just make a note, and actually, if there's anything you take from this presentation, friends, I'm asking you to take this, okay? So if you have a pen and paper, please write this down. Have your doctor check, their basic stuff, but as well as clotting factors, because that's the clot different, and they know what that means. They'll know exactly what that means. You could say a nurse, that told you, recommended it, and it's up to them if they'll do it, and hopefully they will, because that's one of the first signs of a stroke as well. Blood pressure is a big thing, but now because of all these strokes and heart attacks lately, they're starting to come out. It's brand new information saying, hey, get your clotting factors checked. And then if there's issues with potential blood clots, then they can address them sooner rather than later. Not trying to scare anybody. I'm just trying to, I'm a nurse, I care, and I want everybody healthy and happy. So hopefully that makes sense. Also, living with purpose, which we'll talk about that, exploring passions regularly, eating for heart health, exercise, stress management, socialization, and like I said, there's more. So on here, I mentioned the office visits. Just follow up with your doctor as they recommended, and follow up with your doctor if you feel the need to, because it's better to go than not go and be checked, and instead of wondering or worrying, or, it's better to just get that information. And I do really encourage that. Okay. That's what it means by contact as needed. If you have questions about things, I encourage you to contact your doctor. And of course, make sure that you're getting the labs done, the ones that they recommend, as well as the clotting factors that I'm recommending. Okay. And then if they recommend going to specialists or different testing that's done, I do encourage that, because it can make a difference. Information can be power. If I know something's wrong, that I can do something about it, well, I still can't, right? That's the goal, at least. So we might as well try, right? We might as well try, do the best that we can to help ourselves. And that's what this is, right? We just do the best we can. And when we monitor our weight, one of the biggest things that we're looking for is if there's a significant change in weight within a few days. So most people, within 2 or 3 pounds, there's water weight going up and down. But if you're noticing that you're starting to put on weight all of a sudden, you're getting swollen, your ankles are swollen, all that could be a symptom of potentially a heart issue, maybe congestive heart failure, early signs, something like that. So it's super important to monitor your weight. And of course, we want to try to have healthy weights, because the more weight that our bodies hold, the more stress on our heart. So we definitely need to be careful of that. With blood pressure, I'm guessing most of you know the parameters. Obviously, the 120/80, under 120/80 is what's recommended. Unless someone's diabetic, then it's 130/80. Okay. Unless the doctors put you on a different goal, that's fine. But these are kind of the general guidelines. Okay, from American Heart Association and American Diabetes Association. I am a fan of checking blood glucose at home if a doctor recommends, and even if they don't recommend. If you have a family history of diabetes, or you feel like you deal with low blood sugar. And sometimes people feel tired, they feel lightheaded, they just don't feel right. And they, blood glucose, a blood glucometer, a blood pressure machine, and a pulse ox, the little pulse oximeter machines, that they now are, it's more popular since COVID, but those as well, in addition to thermometers, are what I would recommend having in the home in an ideal world. And I'll tell you, you just never know, because here's the thing: if you do a blood, like a blood glucometer is when you poke your finger, okay, with the blood, and you can certainly talk with your doctor's office. They can get you trained in how to do that, or your pharmacy. There's videos online. It's super easy, doesn't hurt. It's a little intimidating sometimes if you're not used to it, but it's not something that will hurt you. And some people, the doctors will check them like every 6 months or maybe every year if they're not diabetic. So what if someone starts getting high blood sugars in month 3 of a 12-month period? They're not going back for 12 months, and in month 3, they're starting high blood sugar. So you'd rather know sooner than later. So again, this is something I would recommend. And some doctors' offices, they have coupons for free machines. So, certainly use your resources there. But I am a big fan of checking blood glucose, especially if you have a family history of diabetes, pre-diabetes, you've got issues yourself, or some hypoglycemia, which is low blood sugar issues. Okay. Now let's shift gears a little bit. I love this topic, live with purpose. And the reality is, if we don't have a purpose to get us out of the bed every day, none of this other stuff I'm talking about here really matters, right? I mean, that's the truth. I think we would all agree. So we need to have some type of purpose to get us out of bed every single day. Now, what I'd like you to do, I think many of you have a paper and pen near you, and if you don't, that's okay. Don't leave. You can just think in your mind. I would like to give you a moment to just think, what brings you to life? So just think for a moment. I'll give you a moment here. What brings you to life? What excites you? What gives you life? So I'm going to guess that many of you said your kids or grandkids. I can't see all of you, but I'm guessing many of you said that. Some of you may have said your partners, your friends, maybe your church, synagogue. Maybe you said you don't know. Maybe you just don't know, and that's okay too. But let's just go with the kids and grandkids, because I've done this talk for many years now, and that's the most common. And then I'll address the other ones too, okay? So some people say, well, my kids and my grandkids, they give me life, they give me purpose, but I hardly get to see them. So what I would encourage is that you see if there's a way that you could have more connection with them, whether it's through the phone, whether it's through Zoom, whether it's through FaceTime, or is there something within that relationship that you could be supportive to that child or grandchild? So for example, if they play tennis, you could be kind of a cheerleader for them, right? So, hey, I'd love to hear how your tennis match was. Call me after, or, something like, oh, let's talk at the end of the week. I want to hear how your sports went, something like that. And that way, not only does it give you purpose, friends, but here's the truth. Here's the truth. Nobody can replace a parent or grandparent. Nobody. So they need you just as much as you need them. They might just not realize it right now. They might not be saying it and verbalizing it, but just know on some level they do. So just consider whether it's your friends, your grandkids, your kids, your neighbors, how can you contribute to somebody else's life? Because usually those contributions are a way to bring us to life. Now we need to give to ourselves too, and give to others, and let others give to us, right? We have to be receiving. I want to give you a little story here. This is a true story. And I don't believe I said this last time when I was here, and there's different people here, so either way, just follow me, because it's a pretty neat story. I was working with a lady when I was at Disney, and she was about in her 70s, and she lived with her husband, and she was dealing with many, many, many health issues. She felt horrible about herself. She was struggling with depression, with anxiety. So she came into my office and she said she has no purpose. And preparing dinner for her husband wasn't enough for her, not anymore. So I said, well, what can you do? What do you think you can do to help contribute to other people's lives to help you live with purpose? And this is so important for heart health, friends. That's why I'm taking time to go through this. It's so important. Okay. So she said the only thing she does really throughout the week is go to the grocery store. That's it. She doesn't do anything else except sit home. I said, okay, you go to the grocery store. Let's start there. What I'd like you to do, this is her assignment. Ready? In case anybody here wants to take this on too. I said, when you go to the grocery store, I want you to pick one or two people and just smile at them and say, how are you? Not in a creepy way or scary way, just in a friendly way. How are you? Hi, like kind of walking by like, hi, how are you? Showing that you acknowledge their existence. Because I think everybody in here would agree, just somebody acknowledging you, smiling at you, even considering how are you, can actually change the trajectory of your day. It has happened many times to many people. It's just the way it goes. We're having a really bad day. Sometimes somebody just showing that they care can make a difference. And then we walk away feeling good as well. So she thought I was crazy with the assignment. She's like, what? I said, just do it. Go to the grocery store, be friendly to people, That's your purpose, to be a source of love, care, and friendliness. So she comes back in 3 weeks for a follow-up appointment, and she was beaming. I mean, glowing. I'm like, what is going on? It was like a different person. I said, what's going on? She said, well, she did the assignment and it felt really good. A lot of people think that she made a friend. She didn't. So I'm not going to say she did. She did not make a friend. Maybe now she has all these years later, but she really took on the assignment, was that pillar of love and care and friendliness to people. And I got to tell you something, it made a difference in her heart, in her soul, in her spirit, because in her mental health, it gave her purpose. So she started there. So what I'm saying is that if you don't feel like you have purpose, is there somebody you can call? Is there somebody you can text or email or write a letter to? Or is there something that you can do that will bring you to life? Because it is essential for your heart health. It is essential for your brain health, for your immune system as well, to have purpose. And it's got to be something that means something to you. Okay. And with that, passion. Okay. Passions are aligned with that. And purpose is, I look at purpose at least as kind of serving others. And how can I contribute to others as well as contribute to myself? And passions are not exactly about contributing to others. Passions are things we enjoy doing. And that's important that we give those gifts to ourselves of joy, right? Those joyful experiences, like whether it's music, whether it's games, whether it's nature, whether it's helping other people, whether it's dance, learning, cooking. So to be clear, you can have a passion for helping others, and that passion of helping others can be aligned with your purpose of being a pillar of love. Okay, I'm kind of going deep here, but just follow me. But helping others is the expression of the purpose of being a pillar. Like, hey, my purpose is to be a pillar of love, to be a loving person to whoever I connect with today. My purpose is to let my friends know that I love them and care about them. Let my family know. My purpose is to be, it could be, hey, I want to be a loving grandparent. I want to be a supportive grandparent. If you have grandkids, or a supportive friend, right? I want to call my friend that's not feeling well and see if there's something I can do for them. Okay. Or him or her, whatever it is. These are just some examples of passion. But main thing is do things you enjoy every day, because that's important for your heart health as well. I love this slide with that picture of jam. Now be careful, there's no sugar added in that jam, okay? It's pure fruit, no sugar added, which is what we talk about when we talk about heart health, is that the main goals for heart health eating is natural foods. And natural foods are what? Well, that's going to be our plants. It's going to be our animal products, our fish, our eggs. Okay. So those are what I would call natural foods. And some people say, well, Elissa, why? Why natural foods? And I actually think it's a really good question. It's like, why? And the answer is pretty simple. And we don't always think about the answer, but I'll put it right here to let everybody know. There's one main reason that I believe why. It's how we're designed. We are designed to thrive on healthy, natural foods. When we don't, our health is affected. There are people that have eaten McDonald's 7 meals a week, and they can do it for 50 years and they have no effects. Their cholesterol is great, their weight's great, but I'm sure inside their body something's going on, right? And then on that year, whatever it is, later in their life, they come into my office and say, what the heck? Why now? And I say, well, your body can only handle so much for so long, that's the truth. So we need to honor the boundaries that have been created for our bodies. And when we don't, we're informed of that. We're informed of that by having high cholesterol, high blood sugar in most cases, okay? There can be some exceptions, but our weight's affected. Okay, again, in most cases, there can be some exceptions there too. But bottom line is the natural foods are how our body was designed to thrive. Okay, and the refined sugars would be what? White sugar, brown sugar, we want to limit those. So what this means is, for example, do you see Skittles growing on a tree outside? No, but wouldn't that be fun to see Skittles growing on a tree? It'd be so pretty with all the different rainbow trees. I like it. I like it. Or Snickers bars growing on a tree. Let me grab one of those. That'd be great. So the foods that are from nature, these are the foods that help us thrive. These are the foods that support our optimal health. Okay. And refined sugars are not one of those foods. Yes, sugar cane is found in nature, but it's been modified many times, and our bodies, just don't respond to that as well. And when it comes to the heart, it's really important that we get our sugars really from fruit, because fruit is Mother Nature's dessert. Some of you don't like me anymore because I said that, but it is true. Someone said it to me once, and I said, gosh, that's the best thing I've heard in a long time. That was about 2004. Somebody said that to me. Wow, that's brilliant. Mother Nature's dessert is true. It was a dietitian at the time. So she was right. So what are some sugar alternatives? Well, the best one, if you want still to have like some carbs in it, okay, you still want some carbs. You're not diabetic, even if you are diabetic, but you want carbs. The best sugar substitute, number one, is date syrup. Okay, after date syrup, everything else kind of brings you up. So whether that's maple syrup, honey, or coconut palm sugar, those would be some options, but those have sugar. So don't think that they don't. They're not free-for-alls because they're natural sugar source. Okay. And then if you don't want sugar and you want a sugar alternative, that would be stevia and monk fruit. If you've got an allergy to ragweed, stay away from stevia. A lot of people don't tell you that, but I'll tell you. Okay. And then the white carbohydrates are just very processed grains. And many people may not realize this, but many years ago when Wonder Bread first made their bread, they were not allowed to sell it. It was not fit for human consumption, believe it or not. They actually, the FDA said that they must put, let's see, vitamins and minerals in it for it to be fit for human consumption, because it had nothing in it. So they've got this white bread that has added vitamins and minerals from who knows where and how good they are for you. It's just not a good thing. So you're better off having the healthy carbs. And I'll give you some examples in a moment when I switch slides. And then the saturated fats would be like the skin on the chicken, heavy creams, fried foods. You want to limit those and do more healthy fats. Okay. And then portion control. So I'm going to switch this over here and go to this to give you a little bit more clarity. And everyone will be receiving this handout. So don't worry about writing this down. This will be sent to you after the presentation. So this right here, see, this is from the American Diabetes Association. Okay, this bottom right corner here. And they recommend a quarter of the plate grains and starchy foods. So if we go over here, grains and starchy vegetables, you'll see it right here, right above the plate. These are the options, okay, like whole grain breads, brown rice, a quarter of the plate protein, and then go up a little higher. There's the protein sources that are recommended. And then half the plate non-starchy vegetables. Here's examples here. And then they recommend fruit and a drink, which could be, we would say water, okay, or some water with lemon in it, or like a little squeeze of fresh orange or something like that. Okay. And then fruit. So this is for each meal, guys. So this is what they're suggesting for American Diabetes is every meal, this is what your plate should look like. Now, some people don't like fruit at each meal. I personally don't. So I'll split that up and have those as snacks. Okay, sometimes. You don't need to have 3 fruits a day, but 2 to 3 fruits a day is what's recommended. These are the general guidelines, by the way. And remember, always check with your doctor before making lifestyle changes and doing anything different. Okay. But what is not on this American Diabetes Association plate is the healthy fats. Now, these healthy fats, you still want to add into your diet. and it is recommended with each meal. Okay. Some of the big institutions and hospitals in the United States are recommending these healthy fats. So that would be nuts, seeds, avocados, olives, olive oil, even coconut oil. If you don't have too high cholesterol, because that's kind of the new one that's, how shall I say this? The controversial one. Some people say coconut oil is okay. Some people say it's not. Now, I want to make a couple comments here. This plate, we're talking like around like an 8-inch plate, okay? 6 to 8 inch plate. So you can kind of get a feel for how much for each of these. If you do a bowl and you're not using a plate, let's say for grains or something, it would be a fifth or a tennis ball size for grain. Okay. And then for protein, it would be like 3 to 4 ounces, ideally, or a deck of carbs. And then fruit would also be a tennis ball or a fist. When it comes to healthy fats, the main thing with healthy fats is you don't want to go overboard, even though they're good for you. Healthy fats are really good for your heart. So they're really good for your brain, and they can be really helpful for inflammation. Okay, so just make sure that you are consuming healthy fats as long as your doctor is okay with it. And when I talk about nuts and seeds, these are not roasted, these are raw. So raw almonds or raw almond butter, raw walnuts, raw sunflower, raw chia. Okay, all this is raw. If you cook it or roast it, you have just made something super healthy toxic. So please don't waste your money on anything roasted in terms of fats. The best cooking oils, some of you probably know, the latest research is saying avocado oil or coconut oil for cooking. Olive oil is used for when things have cooled or for salads or dipping or other things like that, but not when it's real hot, because the chemical composition of olive oil changes at high temperatures and that becomes toxic. Whereas avocado oil and coconut oil can withstand high temperatures. Okay, so feel free to ask me questions after about this, but this is really just the high level. The amount, let's talk about. So when we talk about nuts and seeds, it's again 3 times a day. So you pick one of these. So if it's nuts, it would be like 12 almonds, for example. If it's an avocado, it would be like a quarter to a third of an avocado. Okay, if it's olive oil, it would be a tablespoon, 1 to 2. I mean, they say about a tablespoon, but it depends on your height and your weight. I mean, I've never seen anybody overdose on olive oil before or avocados, but nuts and seeds have a lot of carbs, so you can go overboard on those. So just be careful with that. Okay. And then with olives, those are actually really healthy and a great snack as well. Just watch the sodium. So try to get the ones that don't have any salt added, or if they do, it's sea salt, because that's better, but still in moderation. Okay, so just try to get the least sodium olives that you can find. And I have seen them. I'm able to find them. It's not always so easy, but I do some digging and label reading to identify, okay, what's going on here with the olives. And I would recommend with olives, a few olives at a time. Let's say 3 to 5 olives at a time would be a serving size for what they would consider healthy fats. Okay, so again, this plate is what's recommended by the American Diabetes Association. Even if you don't have diabetes, I recommend this plate. This isn't to talk on diabetes, it's to talk on heart health. But we want to prevent diabetes to keep our heart healthy, right? So how do we do that? One of the ways, eating healthy, eating balanced, having portion control, and natural foods. Notice there's nothing on here that talks about Doritos, right? Nothing on here that talks about French fries. So just be aware of that, okay? And adding the nuts in with each meal as well, or the seeds, whichever it is, the healthy fats, make sure you're doing that. And I'm sure American Diabetes Association will be updating their plate at some point soon to get that updated with the new healthy fats. Okay. So let's go on here. Now, when you talk about heart healthy specific foods, not just the healthy fats, but there's the avocado, which I talked about was a healthy fat, but also, these bright fruits and vegetables, these colors, all these different colors. Red foods specifically are good for the heart. I'm going to say that again. Red foods, natural red, not red lifesavers, okay? Red foods like apples, red foods like strawberries, tomatoes. In fact, tomatoes, when you cook them, it's the only food that we know of, or one of the only foods rather that we know of, that when you cook it, it releases more lycopene, which is an antioxidant specific to heart health. So what that means is tomato sauces, tomato soups can be wonderful. Just watch added sugars and watch added salt. But cooked tomatoes, if you can do them, if they bother, if you've got like a GERD or any issues with burping or indigestion, or the tomatoes bother you, or even urinary issues that bothers you, then, don't do it. But if you can do tomato sauce or cooked tomatoes, it truly is one of the best things you can do for your heart. But all these foods, the variety of colors, they each offer different benefits. This slide makes me hungry. I love all this food. Okay. In addition to food, we want to always recommend exercise. Everybody knows this. I'm not speaking anything you don't know, but I will say when it comes to exercise, I do recommend talking with your doctor first and just make sure that your doctor guides you according to your specific health challenges. So if you've got issues with your back, there are some exercises that you probably shouldn't be doing, right? And then there's some that could really support you with your back. Okay. Also, when it comes to exercise, you really want to find something you enjoy. And some people say, oh, I don't enjoy anything. Well, I'll tell you what, my guess is there's something that you can do that you enjoy. And that might mean you're listening to music or watching a television show or listening to a podcast or even attending one of these awesome events. And while you're listening, you're walking on a treadmill or walking in place or holding weights. You could be on this and doing some weights. I mean, what are bands? Exercise bands. So some people that really don't like exercise kind of need to distract themselves, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just honoring what you need as a person, and that's all okay. Some people need music. Some people need to be on the phone with somebody because they just can't stand exercise, so they're distracted until they get into the groove, or they always need to be on the phone. Now, eating before is recommended, like ideally an hour before, nothing real heavy, right? Because you don't want to have food kind of jumping up and down or while you're walking in your stomach and bothering you, but just enough. The goal there with the eating before and after, eating before is to make sure your blood sugar levels are healthy. Eating after has to do with rebuilding after you just extended a lot of strength and energy and broke, probably muscle breakdown as you're exercising to help rebuild. So it's important before. What's recommended is this kind of a lighter meal. Even you could do like a protein drink with some fruit, a little bit of fruit, like a half a cup of fruit, a little bit of protein powder, maybe like a half a scoop, and maybe some almond butter. Blend that up in a blender with some ice if you wanted, or even, everyone's different. It kind of just depends what you feel that you need, but something small. And then after, within an hour of completing exercise, you want to have a meal. That's where maybe you'll have eggs or whole grain bread or quinoa or whatever the scenario would be there. Okay, and yes, I said eggs. Eggs have a lot of health benefits. We do need to be careful with cholesterol, but the research today is showing that even though there's cholesterol, the benefits outweigh the cholesterol as long as you're doing eggs within moderation. This is not about going and having 20 eggs a week. No, no, no. But most people can do anywhere between, 4 to 6 eggs a week, and they're okay. If you have high cholesterol, check with your doctor what he or she would recommend for your egg intake. But if you like eggs, let me tell you something. If you haven't heard this before, the yolk is truly like a multivitamin for your brain. The yolk of the egg is like a multivitamin for your brain because of the choline, which is so important for brain health. So with the eggs, that's what I would recommend. And I would also to do the yolks. You could even do one yolk and a couple egg whites if you can't do a lot because cholesterol, but even just to even get 1 or 2 eggs in a week, just to get that multivitamin for your brain is so good. Okay, and that could be scrambled, that could be hard boiled, however you would want that. And then of course, the last thing, I mean, just a gentle reminder to stay hydrated when it comes to exercise. Sometimes we forget to drink water, but we need to drink water. And if you don't like water, like I said earlier, like squeezing a fresh lemon or a fresh orange, you know, there are some other options for liquids, but I would not recommend any sugar-free drinks unless it's something that is, you know, doesn't have like Splenda in it, you know, no Splenda. Definitely don't recommend Splenda or Sweet and Low or Equal. There's just too much research now saying those are pretty toxic. So any type of hydration, definitely not juices. Juices are pretty much pure sugar, which can lead to inflammation and which can lead to heart health issues. So I don't recommend juices. If you must have flavored water and nothing I said you like so far, then you could do a little bit of juice if you had to, like a teeny bit, and then more water. Okay, if you absolutely had to, you're still better off having juice than you would the artificial sweeteners. Just being honest. Coconut water, I'm a huge fan of. If anyone likes coconut water, that's a great rehydrator. And if anyone lives in the warm climates and you're sweating a lot when you're outside exercising, even if you're sweating inside, coconut water is great. All right. So a couple other things with heart health as we finish up here. Stress management, you know, stress can kill you. I mean, that's the reality. With the way the body responds, I'll just make it really brief, but I'm not sure if you've heard this. So when our body gets stressed, okay, any human body, even good stress, by the way, what happens is our potassium levels start depleting. Okay, that has to do with our adrenal glands. And that's would be considered acute stress. Now, over time, if that continues, then what happens is our magnesium levels in our bodies drop, our calcium levels go up. Now, why do we care? Our calcium levels in our tissues go up, by the way. Okay, not necessarily our blood, in our tissues, which includes our cardiovascular system. So what that means is when I get stressed out, if I don't take care of that stress, it can lead to what's called chronic stress, which leads to increased calcium, which can lead to calcification of the cardiovascular system, which can lead to what? Heart attacks, strokes, all types of things we don't even want to be talking about. So that's super important. That's one of the main reasons stress is so important and how it kills people is because it literally works so much with the mineral composition of our bodies. Remember, our bodies are made up of minerals, right? Okay, so what are some great ways to de-stress? Well, listen, everyone knows what's best for them, but these are just some suggestions and you pick what's right for you, whether it's prayer, breath work, meditation, nature, exercise, laughing. Laughing is really a good one. Okay, try to laugh every day. Gratitude practices, journaling, and of course, I'm a big fan of working with a therapist or a professional, or whether it's a spiritual leader, somebody that can help you, or even if it's a friend, family member, just you're not alone. That's the main thing. You are not alone. Sometimes it's super uncomfortable to reach for help, no matter who it is, but I'm asking you, if you need support, please don't wait. If you've been thinking about it, this is your sign. Ask for help. Okay. All right. And then of course, socialization is extremely important. And whether that's, you know, in-person socialization is great, but you know what else is? These types of programs where we can connect and talk with each other, as well as other types of, whether it's Zoom with your friends or family. I mean, at this point, any type of healthy and supportive relationships are showing benefits. Okay. In person, there's other benefits with hugging, right? And kissing and things like that, and just having someone's hand on your arm. Those are all added benefits. But if that doesn't work for you, then socialization, through technology works as well. And that's very important. Ultimately, what it comes down to with your heart is really two things: giving to others unconditionally and receiving from others and receiving from yourself, right? Give to yourself, receive from yourself, and give to others. Because people that don't like to give to others, a lot of the times that truly can affect their heart health, believe it or not. And some people call them cold-hearted. Well, there's a reason for it. It's your heart. If they're not opening up. And you know what? If you don't like when people do things for you and help you and you're not open to receiving from others, if you think you're a burden, so you don't want anybody to help you, that keeps the heart closed. And that can also affect not only our physical heart health, but our emotional heart health, like our love. So if I don't feel loved and I'm not letting others love me the way they want to or that I need, I could feel depressed, right? So we need to have a balance here. It's super important to give and receive love. And however you feel is appropriate for you, you've got to figure that out. But just the main thing is please let other people give to you as well as you giving to others. One of the other keys to heart health is to have communication with yourself and your truth and journal. And this is a question that I'm actually giving you. If you'd like to write this down and think about this, journal about it to help support you moving forward, is what else can I do to be happier and healthier, whether it's from this presentation, something I mentioned, or something else that pops in your mind. And honestly, what I would do once a month to revisit this question: what else can I do to be happier and healthier? And once a month, maybe on the first of every month, just ask yourself and get in the routine of asking yourself. So you're constantly ensuring that you are in action to support your health in whatever possible way that may be. All right, time for questions.
Amazing. That was great.
Thank
Yeah, we have a few questions that definitely came in here. So we can start, I guess, if I scrolling. So Rose has asked, what about people on warfarin and checking INR when you don't feel quite right?
Yes, absolutely. If you're on warfarin, you're on Coumadin, I'm telling you, with what's going on today, it just more checks are better than none, not enough rather. So yeah, if you're not feeling right, absolutely getting the INRs checked. Any other labs. I mean, the bottom line is if you don't feel right, get evaluated. It's better to go, and then at least you could say you went. That's the main thing. And if they can't help you, then you figure out, like, if everything's normal, then figure out, okay, what else can I do? Or talk to your doctor. What would another step be? Or do I need a specialist? Or yeah.
Call from Joseph.
Okay, so Frida had asked why raw brown sugar is not that great. Is she thought that it was healthier than plain white sugar? Is
Yeah.
that true?
It's so hard with the sugar stuff. Here's the deal. Sugar in fruit, how sugar in natural plants works is it actually goes through the liver. So it's a slow release into the body. So it's not like so if you were to have an apple, okay, you're not going to get this sugar high. But if you were to have Skittles, let us go back to Skittles. If you were to have Twizzlers or something with a lot of sugar, you'll get a sugar high because that sugar bypasses the liver, goes straight into the bloodstream, which is why if someone's hypoglycemic, they need to do some type of immediate sugar. Eating an apple when someone's hypoglycemic, low blood sugar, is not going to save their life. So raw brown sugar is still headed directly to the bloodstream, not through the liver, which means you can get spikes in blood sugar, which can cause spikes in insulin, which over time can contribute to diabetes, inflammation, and possible weight gain. If you like brown sugar, you're still better off doing coconut palm sugar, which is brown. You're still better off. Date syrup is great, just don't cook with it because it caramelizes. But if you're going to do sugar, just the least amount, if you decide to do it, the least amount that you're willing to do.
Okay. And you mentioned grapes with seeds. Why with versus without? Any reason for that?
So grape, yes. So foods that have been genetically modified affect the blood sugar and inflammation and who knows what else in our bodies. It's not natural. So remember, our body is designed to identify natural substances. Grapes naturally come with seeds in them. We as human beings have genetically modified them to get rid of the seeds. Therefore, our bodies respond differently than they would a grape with seeds. This goes the same with cucumbers without seeds, watermelon without seeds. Okay. Now, does it mean it's dangerous? No, I'm not saying it's dangerous. It's just not ideal. And if someone has prediabetes or diabetes, you definitely don't want to be eating these foods without seeds. And if you don't have that, I still don't recommend it because you're not going to be getting all the benefits. But please be careful if you have grapes with seeds with your teeth, because those seeds are quite hard. So if you know your limits and you can't chew grape seeds, don't get them.
Yeah.
So just be kind of aware of that. There's other ways, there's other fruits that you could consume.
Okay. And what about green olives versus black olives, even if you're
They're
rinsing
both
the
good.
olives?
No, they're great. They just have different healing benefits.
Just
They're
different.
fine.
Okay. And
Mhm.
which oils are better for you? Canola, vegetable
Oh,
oil?
no, on the list, on the list that everyone will be getting, the oils that are the best would be the ones I mentioned, which would be olive oil, the extra virgin olive oil. And then avocado, which would be extra virgin olive oil if you are not cooking with it. Okay, I know a lot of people cook with olive oil, but no, try not to because it becomes toxic when you cook it, as I had mentioned before. And then avocado oil and coconut oil would be the ones to cook with. If you can do coconut oil, yes, there's a little more saturated fat, as I mentioned, but I've never seen anybody have an issue with it, although some people say beware. So just check with your doctor if you can do coconut oil.
Okay. And I see Mariana, go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that same question. You said don't cook with olive oil, that becomes toxic. You
Yeah.
change it and to use avocado oil, not avocado oil. What? It has no effect?
Avocado oil does not become toxic when you cook it. It actually can withstand high temperatures, and so can coconut oil. And one more thing I want to mention about the oils, so I'm glad you brought this up, is that now the latest and greatest that I'm always still learning too to keep up with the research, but the latest and greatest is that no seed oils, none. Before, if you talked to me a few months ago, grapeseed oil was okay with high temperatures. No, and even they're saying even if you wanted like sesame seed oil, even if it's not cooking with it, you're still best in general not to have seed oils in any possible way. The least amount of seed oils, the best oils, again, olive oil, avocado oil, and coconut oil. And if you need to have some sesame oil, that's fine. This is not, it's okay. You're better off having a little bit of it. You've done it all these years, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend tons of it. I wouldn't do it on a daily basis, but just try to throw the sesame oil on after it's been cooled a little bit. So you actually
And
get
the avocado oil doesn't affect, say, cholesterol?
No. Avocado is a fat. It's healthy fat, but that's not the type of fat that's going to bring your cholesterol levels up.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
The coconut, they say possibly could because it's saturated fat, but again, I've not seen that in my practice.
Okay.
Who knows? So check with your doctor on that.
Okay.
Lori, go ahead. If you want to unmute, she asked regarding Italian restaurants. I mean, they pretty much use olive oil when they cook, correct?
So let's talk about this for a moment. Now, I don't know if anybody here has cooked Italian food or raised on Italian food, but I got to tell you that there's a lot of brilliance in that because the olive oil, yes, Italian restaurants, there's a lot of olive oil that you are dipping, probably white bread. So be careful with the bread. But, if you have a salad with pure olive oil on it, but they also have the tomato sauce that I talked about. And the tomato sauce, not only the benefits from the tomatoes, but the benefits from all those herbs that are in the tomato sauce, like oregano, parsley, So tomato sauce without the sugar and a little bit of sea salt can truly be one of the healthiest foods on the planet. And the olive oil with it Once it cools a little bit, throw some olive oil in it. I mean, it's a soup. It's, if you can eat that, it's super, super healthy for sure.
Okay, so Lori, go ahead. I know you had your hand up.
And
Yeah,
sorry, one last thing. I'm so sorry. I just want to
Yeah.
mention with the tomato sauce, and gentlemen, check this out, is that there's a lot of research showing that tomato sauce can help prostate health too. So food for thought, no pun intended. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just, I mean, as far as if I get a cooked dish in an Italian restaurant,
Hmm?
aren't they using olive oil to cook with?
Yeah, and this is weird. Look, I mean, we're saying like the ideal of the ideal. Like, am I still going to go into a restaurant where they cook my food in olive oil? Yes. But if you can tell them the least amount of oil, or if you just say, hey, this is my time, I'll have it. Just as an everyday thing, it's not recommended. For people that are more sensitive to inflammation or deal with chronic pain, truly this could be a game changer for you if you've been eating a lot of cooked oil and then it changes and you're following these guidelines now. Everyone's different. Some people are not as sensitive, some people are more sensitive, you know how that goes. But yeah, I mean, in a restaurant, try to have them cook with the least amount of oil, ask for a separate little thing of olive oil. You can pour it on after and get the healing benefits that way. Because olive oil is so healthy for you.
But when you say toxic, what do you mean?
Toxic. What I mean is that foods like olive oil is meant to nourish your body and help your body function. And if you cook it, what happens is it becomes like a foreign substance. So inflammation. So like if I were to by mistake, and I'm not advising this, Nicole, you're my witness. I'm not advising this. By mistake, here's my pencil. If I by mistake got a piece of lead from my pencil, which is graphite, stuck in my hand, will get red and inflamed because it's foreign substance, right? So bottom line is that these substances that are not natural, whether it's cooked olive oil, whether it's, Skittles again, I'm bringing that up again, or cookies and cakes or whatever, these things that aren't natural, when they go into our bodies, in our guts, they can create inflammation, which can not only affect our absorption and assimilation of nutrients, but also it can affect a lot of brain health, headaches, and it can be affecting joint health, throughout the whole body inflammation. Everyone's different, but it definitely is something that, I mean, I can tell you personally, if I go to a restaurant and have something with cooked oil, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, if it wasn't cooked in olive oil, if it was cooked in like canola or something, I get a headache. I don't feel good. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I said, oh, this is the oil,
Yeah.
It's been a game changer for me. And I know other people it has too. So yeah, it becomes something that your body doesn't feel beneficial. It says, oh, I got to get rid of this. So that means toxic.
Okay. So is dried fruit good for you?
So the loaded question. Okay. So dried fruit can be beneficial because of the mineral content that is created in the drying process. But if there's sugar added, definitely you don't want any dried fruit with sugar added. But also when it's dried, it brings the glycemic index up, which basically means your blood sugars will go higher when you eat something dried, like dried apples compared to a fresh apple. So what I tell people with dried fruit, and by the way, a lot of dried fruit can create candida or yeast overgrowth inside the body. Okay, you can get all types of symptoms. You can Google those. But bottom line is, I say with dried fruit, I wouldn't do it every day, maybe once or twice a week at the most, but it's not something I would recommend doing all the time.
Okay. And Judy has, which is better, butter or margarine?
Butter. Margarine is not good for you. Butter, but like a grass-fed butter would be ideal, but still that has the healthy fats. That has the saturated fats. So, my option, if you said butter, margarine, or olive oil, the best option. But if those are my only two options, butter. But minimal, little bit. In ancient Chinese medicine, for thousands of years, they know about the healing benefits of butter. So there can be, but just some people love butter. They do tons of butter and they think, oh, it's okay. And I just haven't seen enough research on that. So I just tell people the least amount of butter if you're going to do it, but definitely no margarine. And olive oil's a better replacement for butter and margarine.
Okay, so there were two questions that came up regarding pre-diabetic.
Okay.
So one was, what is the best way to get rid of the title pre-diabetic? And then another one was, where online can you find recipes or menus for pre-diabetic conditions?
Yeah, oh, those are really good questions. Okay, good. So let me answer the second question first. So where online, if you have pre-diabetes or diabetes, you want to look at pre-diabetes as kind of like you're headed on the road to diabetes, which you don't want to get. So what I say is follow diabetic friendly recipes to the best of your ability. So the American Diabetes Association has tons of recipes. And you can do that. Also, you can go on Google and type in diabetic friendly recipe chicken. And then they'll send you tons of recipes with chicken that are diabetic friendly. And if you are if you're pre-diabetic wanting to avoid diabetes, some people say, and this answers the first question. Some people say, well, I don't need to be that strict. But I'll tell you, I was working with somebody who was on insulin, and he was on actually 3 different diabetes medications at once for years. And he came into my office and said, he has to get off of them. I said, I can't guarantee it, but let's try. Exercise, healthy eating. That's what he did. He got off of all of them. I'm not selling false hope here. I'm just sharing. There was a huge article written up in the Disney newsletter about him working with me, and he was literally able to get off all those meds. So this is not about extreme diets. This is not about doing anything really extreme. This is about just following the guidelines I'm giving you to the best of your ability. And they should it should help with reversing any type of diabetes or pre-diabetes. If you need additional help, I work with people one-on-one. You can find me at universalcoachingservices.com, and I'll be happy to work with you as well. Or you could even work with a diabetes educator, like if it wasn't me, another diabetes educator or nutritionist to help as well. But if you're pre-diabetic, if anyone on here is pre-diabetic or borderline diabetes, it's called, please do yourself a favor and do everything you can to reverse it, which is what we're talking about. Portion control, healthy natural foods, limiting the sugars, limiting the white carbs, more natural carbohydrates and sugars for those sources of food when you need something sweet.
Okay.
We still need, we still need carbs to live, so we just need the healthy ones. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Dorothy, if you want to unmute, you have to just unmute. Hold on.
My question is about bread. My health food consultants, they just kind of like no bread.
Mm-hmm.
What is your position on breads?
Okay, so here's my position. In an ideal world, brown rice more often than brown rice bread.
Oh, brown rice.
Oatmeal more often than oat bread. Brown
Okay.
rice more often than brown rice pasta. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of bread at all. But if you're going to do bread, the best bread I know of is Ezekiel bread in the frozen.
Yeah, I
bread.
have that. I did buy that. Oh,
That's the best bread I know of.
okay.
But the whole grains, if you can do the whole grains, like on the list that you'll be getting, that will be sent to you, more of those. So I wouldn't do, more than one meal of bread in it a day.
I reduced it too. Yeah, I have reduced it. Yeah.
You know what I also like? Have you seen those siete wraps? Do you know what those are?
No, say that again.
Siete, S-I-E-T-E, siete.
No, I haven't.
So those are paleo wraps. And there's all types of paleo wraps out there that don't have bread. But here's the thing. I just want to be clear. You still need carbohydrates. Okay. That's why it's in the plate from what will be sent to you with them that we looked at. So this is about like no carbs. I'm not advising that at all. But the siete wraps don't have grains in them. It's made from cassava flour, which is from yucca. And that's what I use. Honestly, when I want some type of bread, that's what I use. And they're definitely more expensive. I'm just going to let you know they are. But it is an option. And then they have siete chips as well, which would be non-grain chips.
Non-grain.
It would still count though as a carb because it's still a root, it would be in that carb category. So you'd still get the carbs, but it just wouldn't have the grains.
The grain, okay. Thank you.
But again, like brown rice has a lot of health benefits. Wild rice, one of the healthiest foods on the planet. That's why it's so expensive, you know? So quinoa.
I haven't developed the taste for the brown rice. I've worked different periods. I'll go to it and then I find I go back to the white. I'll try
Yeah,
again.
try quinoa. I mean, that's okay. Sometimes people just go through phases. Maybe your body doesn't need brown rice right now. I mean, that's a
Oh.
thing. A lot of the times our bodies, it's very true. We just don't want what we don't need. Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes there's other things going on, but
Oh,
you know, in many different ways, whether it's an
Hmm.
emotional thing with people in general or their physical body. But yeah, I'd say try quinoa. Quinoa's great.
But white rice is not, is it bad for you?
Yeah.
Or it's just not as
White-
nutritious?
White
just-
rice is like eating a spoonful of sugar.
Oh, really? I had some, okay.
Sorry.
That's why you love it, Dorothy.
I don't
Yeah,
eat sugar
Dorothy.
We
though.
all do.
Dorothy,
You're
know
not
what, Dorothy?
alone.
Why don't you try brown basmati rice?
Yeah, I've looked at, okay. Try
Try
brown,
brown
okay,
basmati. It's different than
Okay.
brown. See if you like that. Okay.
okay.
What else you got? Any other questions?
Yeah, we have one last question coming in from Rose. There you go.
What about crackers? I mean, there's whole wheat, there's,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's all types, but because sometimes I want crackers with my fruit or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, crackers would be in that category of carbs, so that's fine. Just the whole grain crackers where you can see, listen, if you're eating crackers, so actually, let me say this. If you're doing pasta, brown rice pasta, I know I talked about this last time, the Tinkyada brand, Tinkyada. But if you just Google brown rice pasta, which will be on the list you get, you'll see it. It's like the main brand. So that one doesn't have the grains in it, right? So when people eat that, they don't mind it. It tastes like white pasta. When it comes to, so that's kind of the exception, right? But when it comes to crackers and breads, the more that you can see the grains in them, that's more fiber that you're consuming, which means the blood sugar most likely won't go as high when you're eating it. So and it has more nutrients and minerals. So any type of cracker that's more whole grain where you can see the grains to the best of your ability. But you know, as much as saltines and crispy crackers are yummy, I'd limit those. Try to get more whole grain crackers.
Okay, thank you.
Or even crackers that have seeds. Like sometimes they have mixtures, crackers with seeds. Like
Okay.
whole grain seeded crackers, something like that.